Hi guys, I'm Jen Johns and this is Cookies, Cupcakes, and Cardio. I've been asked by so many of you to make the super trendy raindrop cake. So I've gone about and made the traditional one here, but I also am going to show you two other ways to make it. So I also am doing some gelatin art for the raindrop cake, and we're going to do some with fruit inside. So 3 ways to make the raindrop cake. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here and stick around for a while with us. Thanks so much, and let's get started on this tutorial. We're going to start first with the clear gelatin recipe. So what we're going to need is 4 cups of water, or about 1 liter of water. We need 2 cups of granulated sugar. We're going to be using 1 teaspoon of this citric acid. We need 1 teaspoon of a light or clear extract, and I've got clear vanilla extract here, but you can use whatever flavor you want. And then we have 30 grams of unflavored gelatin. So I've placed my gelatin into a little bit of a larger bowl than I had it in first, and I'm going to pour about a cup of water into here. It can be approximate, that's pretty close. We just want the gelatin to bloom, which just means that it's going to thicken up here before we put it into our gelatin mixture, into our clear mixture, which we're going to make on the stove coming up now. So I've put my remaining water into a pot, and I've got my heat up to about a medium temperature. You don't need it too warm by any means. And I'm going to take my sugar and I'm going to pour it into the water here. And I'm just going to give that a stir. So what we're waiting for is, this is the clear part, and we're going to wait for the sugar to dissolve. And we also want just right, we don't want it to boil. We want it to be right before it boils, kind of when you start to see the vapor coming out. What we're also going to put in at this time is our citric acid. So we have our 1 teaspoon of that. So pouring my acid in there. There we go. And we're going to do the gelatin and the clear vanilla extract afterwards. So I'm just gonna let this heat up, and the sugar is gonna dissolve. And once it's got to the temperature I need it to be, I will show you what's next. So my mixture here, the sugar is dissolved, and I'm just starting to get the vapor coming up. So I'm gonna turn it off. You can remove it from the heat totally, or you can just turn your element off completely. And now I'm going to add in my gelatin that is nice and fully bloomed here. And it's gonna go in one big piece there. And then you just want to stir this until it all dissolves. And at the same time, I'm also going to add in my flavoring here. Just let that heat of it's going to melt the gelatin and have it dissolve. And I'm going to have 1 teaspoon of this clear flavoring into there like that. So stir that up. And that's all there is to making the clear gelatin. So I'm just going to keep stirring this until the gelatin completely melts. Set it aside to cool briefly, because I don't want to start working with it when it's boiling hot. There's just no real point to that. So I'm going to let it cool for a bit, and then I'll be back. So the gelatin is cooled slightly, and I have these round silicone bowls, which actually go right into the shape of a sphere, so they're perfect for this project. If you don't have them, you can just find yourself like a round sphere mold. There's lots of them on like Amazon and stuff. So I've sprayed that with a little bit of nonstick spray, and then wiped it with a paper towel, because I don't want too much in the bowl there. But having a little bit of the nonstick spray is going to help us get the little raindrop out afterwards. So I'm going to put this into the fridge and let it set for a couple of hours. But I've got another one that I'll swap out, and I'll show you how a really easy way to get it out. So what I have here in my bowl is just some hot tap water, and I'm going to put my gelatin bowl in here, just in there a little bit to loosen the sides, because the gelatin will get soft in this water, and it's going to help taking it out be a little bit easier. So I'm just going to flip that upside down and get it to come out. Come on, there we go, here it comes. There we go, is our little gelatin orb here. So I'm just going to put it on this piece of wood. And then the raindrop cake is served with roasted soybean flour, and it's served with some of this brown sugar syrup. Delicious. So the second kind of raindrop cake I'm going to show you is a gelatin art one. So I've got my clear gelatin that I already prepared. I've got some syringes I'm going to be using. I have 2 empty bowls here. I've got some milk I'm going to be using, a couple of different colors. You can use whatever color you want. I'm going to be using green for the leaves. And then I've got one of my globes that are already solidified, so it's ready for the art portion. So I'm just going to take my gelatin and pour a little bit, probably about half a cup, into each of these bowls. You don't need a lot of this part, this stuff. This colored stuff, you can get by with not using very much because you don't actually need very much. I'm pouring in my milk. The milk's just going to give it a little bit of opaqueness to it. You can stir it up with a whisk if you want to. And then I'm just going to take my gel paste. You could use food coloring for this too if you don't have gel paste. It's one of those ones that works well in this case. And then just whip it up until the color is completely combined. You might find that there's little tiny particles that just don't want to mix in, and that's not a big deal at all. You can just use, like, when you use the syringe, it's going to suck up what it can anyway, so it probably won't suck up that little molecule. So I'm just going to keep mixing this and then also make my blue one here. So I have my syringes filled with the colored gelatin, and here I have a melon baller. I'm just going to use it to take out a bit of the top of this gelatin that's already solidified. Just you can put that off to the side. And then using my blue, I'm just going to put it straight up and down. And as I put it into the gelatin, I'm squeezing. So I'm putting it in and squeezing. And I'm just going to go all the way around, and I want to go like different heights, different angles into here, and I'm going to put as many of these blue little petals, because this is going to be a flower. I'm going to put as many of these as I can into here. You want to make sure that you don't go so far as to poke the side of your gelatin, just because you might get a little bit of a leak happening. Now you can see that my little hole in the center is starting to fill up. So I don't want it to overflow, just because it then will color the rest of the top here. So I'm just taking a larger syringe here and just kind of sucking it back up. You can also use just paper towel to absorb it if that's easier for you. So I'm just going to keep going around, squeezing and injecting the blue into this little orb here. So now that I have the blue part of like the petals of the flower done, I'm going to take my green and I'm going to take it like at a really narrow, or sorry, just like a really slight angle here. And as I go in, I'm going to move it. So I'm just trying to like almost like rip a little bit of the gelatin in there and try to make it to be bigger pieces, so it's more like a leaf kind of thing. Like that. So I'm just going around and just adding a little bit of color underneath. It makes a big pop of difference, and it looks really cool once we take it out. So I can't wait to show you guys when I take them out. So you can leave it like this, and you can leave this extra gelatin in the center here. Just pop it into the fridge to let it solidify. If you want it to be blue, then just remove the green, or you could even put that like some more clear back in there if you want that instead. So pop this back into the fridge and then remove it like I showed you with the raindrop cake. So for our final raindrop cake, the third version, I'm going to be using some fruit. So I've got some raspberries, blueberries, and I've cut some adorable little flowers out of strawberries, and I've got also some mint leaves. The only fruit I don't recommend you use is something that's acidic, like a kiwi or an orange, because it doesn't interact and play nice with the jello. It won't set properly. So all you can do for here is I've just got my liquid jello in here, or the gelatin. It hasn't solidified yet, and I'm just going to like find a little blueberry that will pop in that raspberry there, and then I'm just going to pop that in to the jello. You can push it down, and if you want it to, like if you don't want it to float up near the surface, then what you can do is put a small amount of gelatin in first and then put the little fruit in. But when I was testing this out, I found that if I put the fruit too close to the bottom, which would be the top of the actual globe when you turn it around, it didn't look as nice. So have a little bit of gelatin in between your actual fruit and the top like this, and it's going to look a little bit better. And if you want to, even after this is solidified, you can put a little bit more gelatin on top too if you want to. So there's just one with like a little kind of raspberry flower. And then I'll take my strawberry flower that I cut out and pop that into, turn that over so you'll see the bright red when we flip it over. You can put a blueberry in there as well, and some more mint. So the mint just adds a little bit of color and adds a little pop there. So you can see I put the mint upside down. So then you're gonna see the bright side up when we flip it over. So I'm gonna pop those into the fridge and leave them for a couple hours as well. So we've got all 3 versions done, and I can't wait to show you guys the finished products. So there you go, everybody. 3 ways to make the really popular raindrop cake. Let me know in the comments if you preferred the traditional one, the gelatin art, or the fruit inside. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you check out our other Jello videos if you are a Jello or gelatin lover. We've got a whole playlist of those in the description box for you. See you guys all again next time.